Hello and welcome to episode one of the Universally Epic Podcast, your go to Universal Orlando trip planning podcast. I'm your host, Jim Klein, and today we will start off on the dark side of things and discuss 2024 Halloween Horror Nights and Dark Universe coming to Epic Universe May 22nd, 2025. And to help me out, I have a friend and colleague. She's a senior vacation consultant with the Magic for Less Travel, an integral part of the agency's training team, a Universal expert, Holly Carter. Holly, how are you today?
I'm great, Jim. Thanks for having me. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
So I wanted to get into how did you start with Universal? Like, where did you start becoming a Universal like fan?
Well, I've always been really interested in the movies, and if you remember way back 150,000 years ago, when Universal first got going, it was ride the movies. You can ride the movies. And a lot of it was in collaboration with Steven Spielberg. As soon as I went down there, I completely fell in love. That was in the mid '90s, and I've just never stopped going.
Oh, nice. So what was uh so what was your favorite attraction like when you started going back in the 90s?
Jaws.
Because I had mine. Jaws, yeah. So Jaws is like one of those things like yeah, like you kind of like you like what happened with like the Wizarding World and everything, but it's also like, hey, could you have found like a better spot to put it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like Jaws was one of those attractions that was like super classic Universal when
Absolutely,
you went.
absolutely. I
You know,
loved it.
mine is as silly as it sounds. Like Earthquake was one of those attractions that I absolutely loved. It was I don't know why it was so silly, and you just went on a train. You went down like no, not very far.
No.
There was some water that got rushed towards you, and then you kind of was done. Like, but it was so great. It
Yeah.
was such a great attraction.
I agree. I remember that as well.
Yeah. Um, and then you had like Ghostbusters. I remember that as a kid.
Mhm.
Do you remember the Ghostbusters attraction? That was
I
so
do.
cool.
Yeah, they're kinda bringing the Ghostbusters back this year.
Yeah, nice. So today we're going to talk about Halloween Horror Nights. I know you recently just went this past week to Halloween Horror Nights. So let's give an overview of what Halloween Horror Nights kind of is and what to expect. Well, I think people know that it's like a special ticketed event, but like, what should someone expect if they're going to Halloween Horror Nights?
Well, Halloween Horror Nights has, a very special place in my heart. I've been attending since 2002, it has changed a lot over the years, but it's also stayed the same in that it is an insanely creative, immersive event. It consists of several haunted houses every year, and then also several what they call scare zones, and those would be themed areas, like zombies or vampires. It changes every year. So what guests can expect is a night of frightful fun. Um, and lots of food, lots of specialty, themed drinks and food, and just a whole lot of fun.
Okay, so take me for example. I get scared very easily. I don't like horror movies. I don't. So, what would you say to somebody like that? Like, do I just not go, or do you think there's a place for someone like me there? Um, are the houses like super scary, or like are they just like? Because I haven't gone because I this is really what's holding me back. Is this I don't want to be petrified and not sleep for 3 days.
Right. Well, I mean, it's gonna vary for each individual person has their threshold of what they like and what they don't. But no one there, the characters, the staff that works either in the scare zones, the houses, whatever, they will not touch you. So some people knowing that, that's enough to make them a little more brave. Um, it's that's like one of the biggest things. So they will not touch you and whatever. But you the houses themselves generally run the gamut from we always have one that, will be dubbed kind of the fun house of the year. Now fun, it could still be pretty gory, but, I am a child of the '80s, so I have slasher films in my blood. So for me, it makes me laugh, and I don't
Yeah,
have a very strong startle reflex, which I kinda wish I did. I feel like that would be more fun. But so
gotcha,
there'll be some that are just, silly and goofy, scary. And then all the way up to, like, this year's scary house, I would have to say, which also won House of the Year, would be, Insidious, and that one was very dark, and again, I don't startle easily, so I didn't get it as much, but you'll hear if you hear any kind of talk about it, people be like, "Oh my gosh, that had me on my knees," and very well placed jump scares and stuff
So,
like that.
was that your favorite? Was that Insidious, was that your
It
favorite house,
wasn't my
or
favorite house, actually.
okay.
It was fine. It was b and they did a beautiful all the houses, they always do a beautiful job. Universal Creative, the team, all the teams, art and design, all of them, they do just such an amazing level of detail. But that one was not my favorite. My see, I'm still processing after you gotta give it the whole season and then think about it. But, honestly, one of the ones that would definitely be my favorite would be the Ghostbusters house from this year. It hit the nail on the head. It was fun. If you had seen the new movie, Frozen Empire, it had, Garaka, it had a little bit of scary stuff, but I think for someone like you, that might be a good introductory house.
More
Mm,
like the fun ones,
mhm,
like, "Okay, yeah, nice."
yeah.
So, I'm a big food guy, like, is there any food that I can eat? Like, can I like,
Yeah.
I see you see a lot of social media posts about, like, different, like, treats and stuff that they have for special events, like, did you have anything or, like
Yeah, that's been one of the most fun things, and Universal over the last couple of years have really kinda starting to up their game as far as all of their festivals go, not just Horror Nights, but Mardi Gras in particular. Um, they are traditionally not known for their food, but that's kind of changing the last few years. And we
yeah,
did
I
try
agree.
my
Great
daughter is 12, and
on
she
there.
also loves Horror Nights. And that's one of her big things. She wants to go and she wants me to film her reviewing all the food. But yeah, they,
Nice.
they will do some weird stuff and it's fun. Some of the stuff you're like, okay, well that was neat. I probably wouldn't get it again, but it was cool. And then there's other
Alright.
stuff that was like, oh, that was actually very, very good. So
Oh, nice. Alright, yeah, so I can eat at least. I don't have to go in the house,
you
I'll
can eat,
just eat all
and
at
if
once, yeah.
you don't like you could stay kind of on the periphery of the scare zones. They aren't gonna bother you, and just kinda stand back and watch it. There's generally at least 1 show, hopefully, we'll have 2 again by next year with a lagoon show because we did get the new lagoon show for the regular park, evenings, but there are
Oh,
things
nice.
there for people who are not. One of the things that I like to recommend to folks that are curious, but not quite sure if they're up to it, is to do one of the behind the screams tours. And those are tours
Okay.
where the lights are up, there's no characters in the house. You just get to slowly go through with a guide who knows all kinds of cool information and can tell you the backstory of the houses and why they decided to do different things. They'll talk about how they I'm not sure what word to like say manufacture the scares, like certain scares, how they pull them off, how they direct your attention one way and then
Okay.
somebody comes the other way. There's just so much that goes into it and seeing the amount of detail that these creatives put into these houses, it just that's where my real appreciation comes from it. I mean, I love it all around, but that is it will blow your mind.
That sounds like a great time.
Yep.
So, like, I think that would be something nice to do first, and then, like, once you know that, like, "Hey, this is how we do everything," like, you kinda have an understanding, and you may, like, build up a little bit of courage to, like, actually go see the actual, like, house, like, live,
A
you know?
Absolutely, it's kinda like pulling the curtain back a little bit, and it's not so
Yeah,
scary
nice, I
anymore.
like that, yeah, and it gives you a little more detail into how everything works. I like that a lot. I think that would be a great idea for somebody like me where if you're, if you're that scared and you have the lights up and everything, then you're not like, "Okay," and then you're like, "Alright, it's there, like, I already did it, but now it's just gonna be darker and scarier, but I can handle it now." I think that's a good way to go. I like that idea.
Yeah. It's actually
Um
good for your brain to be scared in a safe
Oh, yeah?
environment. Mhm.
Alright, yeah, so, like, I have to learn that then because I get scared so ea so so obviously with, like, with Halloween Horror Nights and everything, it's, obviously it's become a huge, huge event every year, right?
Yes.
And more dates, more everything. So, like, we know that Epic Universe is opening next May, and a part of that park is an entire land dedicated to the dark universe is what it's called.
Yeah.
So it's dedicated to those monsters. So you must be psyched, right? Like as somebody that loves Halloween Horror Nights, like, but like it doesn't even just like for me that doesn't like I'm not a Halloween Horror Nights person. So right now, I think you might have talked me into going into like the behind the scenes
I'll go
tour
with you.
because that's
And you can walk
yeah.
behind me in the houses because they always wanna scare me and they don't.
Um, But yeah, I think it looks amazing. Like the land, the videos that the universe has been doing a great job with, like the flyovers of Epic Universe, I think, and the flyover of Dark Universe looks amazing. Like like you go through that portal, these portals are amazing too. I love
Yeah.
the concept of them. Um, and when you're just going into new worlds everywhere, 5 different worlds, it's going to be amazing. But what are you looking forward to the most in Dark Universe? There's a few rides, some food, some drinks. It's gonna be a very, very interesting land.
It's really hard to pick one thing, but the first thing that comes to mind is, I'm looking forward to being able to smell the fog all year round, and all my other Horror Nights nerds, they'll get that. The smell of the fog is just the best. I'm just of course, Monsters Unchained, the Frankenstein experiment is going to be it's I think it's gonna blow everyone's minds. I don't even have the right words to,
Yeah,
talk
they just
about it.
released the animatronics for that, and they look amazing,
There's
right?
gonna
Like, it just
a
looks so
n
lifelike. It's
a
amazing.
9-foot tall, 800
Un
pound walking Frankenstein. Uh,
It's
that's not part of the ride, that's outside of it, but that's the 15th animatronic in that, area. It
unbelievable.
yeah, just
And then
being
you have
there, just the environment altogether, I think is just going to be next
Yeah,
level.
it's gonna be definitely a very cool land to be a part of. Then you have, like, the roller coaster there. So, the Curse of the Werewolf, right?
Mhm.
So this is gonna be a spinning roller coaster. Do you do roller coasters? Are you a roller coaster fan?
Yeah, I am a huge Velocicoaster fan. I don't know about the
Yeah,
spinning one.
right.
I mean, I will absolutely do it, but I don't know how many times we'll have to see it. I'm getting old.
I wonder how much it is gonna spin. Like, is it gonna be more like is it gonna really toss you around, or is it just gonna be, like, with the curves, or, like, I don't know, like, you see them testing it, it doesn't
Yeah.
look that bad,
I don't think the
right?
spinning part is gonna be like, I don't think it's gonna whip you around as much as it's going to turn you and face you where it wants you to be looking.
Gotcha,
So,
okay.
I don't know.
Understand, yeah.
That remains to be seen, I guess.
Yeah, that looks like a fun attraction.
Yeah.
And then you have you have the monster makeup experience, right?
Mhm.
Like, so that's gonna be a part of that as well. Now that's similar to right, in Universal Studios. Did they not have something like that already?
They
Or
did a test with it last spring
okay,
for a certain amount of time. They were doing it to see how
got
people, responded, and it did well, so they decided
well,
to
yeah,
mhm,
those pictures look amazing too. Like, I guess you'll be able to go in there and get all dolled up like a mummy or a vampire or whatever you want to be.
mhm,
Frankenstein walking around those. It's gonna be funny
yeah.
walking around the park and seeing these people all dressed up like that, right?
It does crack me up because now that more information and they're interviewing some of the creatives in the process, they're talking about how it's family friendly. They wanna make sure everyone knows it's very family friendly, and then they turn around and say, "But these animatronics are scary." So, I don't know. I have a
He's
13-year-old
throwing out
son
big
who
stickers
does
here,
not do horror nights, and I think that he's going to be a little shy about going in there. So, I don't know, we'll see, but I could live there. So,
yeah. And like in terms of food and stuff, like they really haven't released any menus, so we can't really talk too much about it. However, there is this place called the Burning Blade Tavern. Now, I truly hope that those like extensions on the windmill are truly on fire. Like that thing has to be on fire, right? Like I don't want it to like look like it's on fire. Like I want it to be on fire.
it is
Like what do
It's going to be there's going to be actual fire, they have 2 different ways of doing it, one for the daytime and one for at night, so I can't even pretend to know anything
you
about what the fuels they're using are. But, yeah, if you look at some of the schematics, you can see there's the area where the storage of those volatile substances.
Oh my
So,
goodness, it looks
it's
amazing. Like that looks it's so inviting. Like for some reason, it's like, don't you want to just go in and have a drink and like,
yeah,
just blow it
I
on fire?
it yeah.
Yeah. This is obviously going to be your land, right? Like, is this going to be the one that you're going to run to when the park opens?
I'm gonna cry the
Or
whole time I'm there. I should start a GoFundMe for when I get arrested for trying to live in the castle, yeah.
that's funny. That's very funny. So I think this is great. I think, Halloween Horror Nights, I think you convinced me to go to Halloween Horror Nights and check it out one year. Maybe next year I'll shoot down and definitely do the behind the screens tour. I think that's a great idea for someone like me, where like I'm not really into the horror, but it seems like I just want to be a part of it too because it looks like so much fun on social media. Everybody's like posting these things on social media and everything, and I'm like, I want to do that, like,
Yeah.
but I'm so scared.
Well, the Lights Up tour is a great place to start, and even if that
Yeah.
was the only thing you did, if you like the how things are made type stuff, you're gonna love it, and you'll keep coming
Definitely.
back.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then, of course, Epic Universe, like Dark Universe, seems like it's going to be a home run. Like,
Yeah,
I don't see how this whole park seems like it's going to be just amazing.
yeah,
And, we're going to get into, like, on the podcast, like future episodes, we're going to get into all the hotels and this and that are opening up alongside that. But, like, Dark Universe looks amazing. And I think it's like a perfect time to talk about it because it's right after Halloween.
yeah.
And, yeah, so I want to thank you. Um, I want you to just let everybody know where they can find you, how they can book a Universal trip with you.
Oh, well, I hang out the most on Instagram, and you can find me at Holly Ever After, and that's HOLLI, because my mother didn't want me to be able to have anything with my name on it when I was younger, and that's the best place to find me.
Okay, so follow Holly. Follow Universally Epic Podcast on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Uh, Click the link in the bios. You can get all the information. I have a Facebook group that it's called Universally Epic Tips and Tricks.
Nice.
Go and join the podcast community. Put your questions in there. Get some answers from other guests. So, Holly, I want to thank you so much for episode one of the Universally Epic podcast. I think we had a good time, and I can't wait to get down there next year. I think I'm going to do that tour. I
Great.
really am. So, thank you
Great.
so much, Holly. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This has been great.
Hello and welcome to episode one of the Universally Epic podcast, your go to Universal Orlando trip planning podcast. Man, I already messed up,
That's all right.
Holly. This is awful. Okay. Start again here. I'm not gonna stop it. Sorry. Okay, ready?